An electric vehicle was driving down the road, and the owner of that vehicle heard loud popping coming from the battery. You're not going to believe what they did next. A Volkswagen ID4 was driving down the road when the driver heard loud popping sounds coming from the battery. And instead of pulling over and checking things out, making sure the vehicle was safe, that driver decided to drive into a parking garage. Then plug their vehicle in. Terrible idea. Ultimately, there ended up being a fire in the battery, and the fire department showed up. Now, this happened at the Fashion Outlet Mall at Rosemont, near Chicago, and this is every fire chief's nightmare, having an electric vehicle on fire inside a parking garage. It's reported that the fire department went in there and they kept putting water on it, but the fire wouldn't go out. It would keep reigniting, which is expected with an electric vehicle. Eventually, fire crews deployed a fire blanket covering that vehicle. Now realize, a fire blanket will not extinguish an electric vehicle fire. However, it will protect exposures. It will smother other materials inside of that vehicle, upholstery, carpet, rubber, plastic, all the other stuff that can burn in one of those vehicles. You also have to be concerned with the buildup of toxic, flammable gas. It's possible to build up enough gas to have a small deflagration. Now, eventually, the fire department got a tow truck on scene, and they were able to pull that vehicle out of the parking garage. The vehicle was just inside the parking garage, very close to the exit, and it was easy for them to pull that vehicle out of the garage. Now, one point of concern I have, specifically for the tow truck driver, that parking garage is full of smoke, full of toxic smoke. Not that any smoke isn't toxic, but you're potentially putting a tow truck driver in an IDLH atmosphere. So it's something that you really have to consider. Realistically, anybody going into that structure should be fully packed out with an SCBA. Now, once they got the vehicle out of the structure, they set it down away from any exposures. They then placed a pancake nozzle underneath that vehicle and flowed water for about 20 minutes. Luckily, they're able to get the fire out. Understanding the vehicle construction and what's inside the vehicle is extremely important, and that's why the emergency response guides are so important. But there's also software out there that can help you. Now, I rep the Moditech Crash Recovery System, and this is software I've been using for about 14 years. It's always been a nice to have. If I'm on scene for a combustion engine vehicle, I want to find the battery, I want to know where the high-strength steel is, they have an interactive guide that really helps show the important features in the vehicle. But now that we're to electric vehicles, you need detailed guides on how to disable these vehicles, how they're constructed, where the battery's located, all the high voltage components, and it's fantastic. They have step-by-step guides on how to deactivate the vehicle, where the hazards are, where the disconnects are. There's a lot of great information. It's now become a must-have in this new age of electrification. Now, the battery pack for every electric vehicle is a little bit different. And they were very fortunate because the ID4 has a very unique battery pack. Inside of the battery pack are 12 separate isolated spots for battery modules. Each battery module is a solid case protecting the battery cells. And inside each battery module are 16 prismatic battery cells. This setup does a really good job protecting the cells from one another if a single cell fails, but it also contains everything within one battery module. It makes it very difficult for the fire to jump from one battery module to another. What you'll find is battery designs are vastly different, and depending on the battery design, it can make the fires easier or more difficult to fight. In this case, I think the battery construction really helped for a positive outcome with this fire. Now, after the fire went out, crews monitored the vehicle for 45 minutes before sending it to the salvage yard. And my understanding is they did not have a reignition at least up until this point. If you want to learn more about thermal runaway, click this video right here.